well, the women underwent different states at the Congress, and you said that we can share our states with other women. Maybe I didn't understand correctly, but usually people don't share their states, inner states. I simply saw that. Now, if in general we're talking about what we've experienced, not I personally, but in general, then it's okay. This is what I meant. I also talk about it openly. So it's not to speak about it personally, that no, by this you open ourselves up to harm. And you said that we women have to unite. And we saw in the Congress that the women tried physically there to, they hugged and so on. How correct is it now to be maximally as much as possible in a group and together, or it's not necessary for a woman? I don't know how to put it. For men, the physical contact is extremely important. They have to sit together, study together, be in touch together. If there's no such opportunity, possibility, then internet, okay? But such a physical connection, yes. Women, if it's not for dissemination, then there's nothing to do in the group. For dissemination, for the work, yes. Yeah, okay. Continuing the question of Erica. Men have the principle of buy yourself a friend. We read about it a lot at the Congress, this passage where one cares for his friend among the women. Is it beneficial to develop this, or we engage only in dissemination? Lately I'm discovering ever newer, unknown to me earlier possibilities and opportunities in this tremendous kli that's arising now for correction. I didn't know this. I had the same path as all the ancient Kabbalists that came before me, an individual path. So all that I teach from my experience, what I have discovered, what I know, and what's necessary for each person in his own notion. There are such processes, there are such processes that occur in the group, even in the men's group, that I didn't know about, and I discovered them alongside with everyone. But I get into this, see all of this, but I personally did not undergo this, and I talked about it many times with my friends, with my students, that I don't know about it. And I'm not ashamed of saying that, because today it's a completely new world. The whole world, when it starts returning once again to this upper force, to this point from which it was disseminated, fell, reached our world, and so on. Now that it starts rising, I didn't undergo this experiment myself. I went through it on my own path, myself, practically without anyone, with the help of my teacher. And here there are the masses, and the masses, they have completely different laws. A bit different, not completely unknown to me, but they are a bit different, meaning a tremendous increasement in powers, the sharing of the work in the masses. It's much simpler. It's much, I don't know, I look at you, I'm envious. My advancement in 1 millimeter took such effort, and here somehow it all, you hugged, you sang. Now this is with respect to men. Now with respect to women, I know very little of women from the point of view of work, not personally women, but working with women. I never worked with a women's group against the men's group. There was never such a thing throughout history, There was a women's group by the Rabash, consisted of our women, and my wife went. along with the other wives, and they gathered, they read his articles, they talked about them, but it wasn't the kind of work where the women's group worked against the men's group and they're participating together with us on such events, meaning the maximum is that they sat on the second floor and we sat on the first floor, and that's how it went. Now here suddenly there's such a force, such a support, such a friendship. The women, they're learning the materials together with us and they're participating together with us. They know our materials no less than the men. In short, it's not even the women's group in general, it's not even the women's group. There are limitations practically in order not to interfere with one another in terms of the difference in gender. They're completely animalistic issues, but if not the animalistic differences, then there wouldn't have been any other kinds of differences. So you see, it's very hard for me to say what kind of form will the women's group acquire. I think that it will be very similar to the men's group, that it will nonetheless be two different groups, but the relationships, the relation within, the women within, will be similar to the men. I think that, we have these kinds of examples from ancient times, like from Rome. They're women. The Garems, there were women that they lived very friendly with one another, in mutuality. When they have one mutual goal, one mutual something, then they can coexist. We see that the distance between women is narrowing down, and they start feeling themselves united together towards something superior, higher, where all of the corporeal distances, contradictions simply disappear. And thus I think that this nature, female nature, where each woman is per se, will start revealing itself differently here. You lift up above your ego, and undoubtedly with us we will unite in that point.